That's the thing. The thing is, I know that unfortunately the others are going to learn. So
I'm just listen, these kids. Anyway,
man.
hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Real on
Oh,
Parenting. And we had to just push record because we had already started this conversation, honey.
yes.
There is life happening in our middle school years. And if
Yes.
you have a middle
Ooh.
schooler, you know that life can happen fast. And there's girls, there's boys, there's girls, and then there's parents that don't play with kids. Okay, so there.
Right.
Danielle,
Oh
listen,
goodness.
Danielle, I told
Right.
that little boy, I said, we need to have, and I know these other, because it's a group FaceTime or whatever. Hey, such and such. We're going to have a conversation. And I am looking forward to doing so. And you are welcome to bring your parents in on this because I try not to address people's kids without them being present. So let me know when's a good time for your mama to talk.
You'll see never.
Girl,
You won't be on
listen.
that call no more.
Listen, I don't think she's done a group chat since then because if they don't know anything, they're going to know Kayla's mama is different. She real nice.
I'm just saying for you. She crazy.
Did I tell you I'm gonna start volunteering at the school? Yes, the lady responded back to me, and I haven't volunteered this year yet, but I was waiting because I also got elected to the school site council. Now my baby is not happy about all this. She's like,
Hey,
"Do
ain't
you
about her being
have to
happy.
be at the school?"
Hey,
Yes, I gotta be, because
we
you know
need to
what?
show face.
This
We
is
need
the
to show
year.
face.
These are the years where your peers are influencing you. So I need to influence your influencers. Let's go. I'm ready.
All right. Make it happen. Yeah, I agree.
So y'all, these be the conversations that be happening behind the scenes. So when we're always laughing, it's related to something that we're talking about that's going on. That is a parenting woe at the moment. So today, in light of me hijacking the conversation going on with kids, uh, we're talking about things that as parents we must stop doing with our daughters, right? And we're going to talk about that. Just I don't know. I don't want to say briefly, Danielle, because like we're never brief. So
right, correct. We try
but
to be. We have good intention, but it's a
we
lot of
really do.
information.
We really do. So we want to make sure that we address all the things. But before we get into it, I want to say this is Cityscape Radio. Thanks for tuning in to music, moments, and more. We are The Real on Parenting. I am Coach Kiana.
And I'm therapist Danielle.
And let's go. All right. So Danielle, we were talking about things that as parents, we just got to stop doing. We were talking about boys, we were talking about girls. So specifically for girls, let's go ahead and kick this off. What are some of the things that we have to stop doing as parents with our girls, with our daughters?
I'm going to say this one I am currently guilty on and have to which way you reel, back, forward, whichever way, reel myself in constantly in regards to it is in regards to the emphasis on appearance. Obviously we want to make sure our kids look good, hair combed, teeth brushed correctly, shoes tied, all the things. But I would say, and I have to remind myself when working with parents, when does your child start to have that? Start to seek out that identity of themselves. And that starts way back at 3.
Yes.
2.5, 3, when they be dressing with a flip flop on one foot and a rain boot on the other with the tutu on and a sweatshirt on. That's how my daughter used to dress.
But we were applauding that back then.
Yes,
we were like, that baby got herself dressed.
Yes, I would let her, and I said, honey, it ain't a matter of if others like it. It's like if you wear with confidence, that's all that matters. So now let's fast forward to her being 12, going on 23. And now trying to, in a place of parenting, of guiding her in regards to what's appropriate for a 12-year old realistically versus what social media is putting out there and showing is okay
Right.
for girls in general to wear. So there's that part of being mindful of, one, not trying to make your child dress like you want them to dress, not down talking aspects of them learning of them. So this, and let me say, there's a difference between teaching your child what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate for their age versus, because your daughter can be fully clothed, and you can speak down to what they're trying to achieve. So if they feel that, or they're even showing that this is something that they're liking, it's not offensive, you may not like it, and that's okay. But give them that space to figure out their own style, to figure out their own of what they like and what they don't like, with the appropriate filters as a parent to make sure that they're not, exposing themselves that in ways that's not appropriate for their age. So I would say, whatever you have in your mind for what your daughter should be doing, that's from hair to makeup, quote unquote, given your child's age, to shoes. There's so many options. I feel that we didn't have all these options growing up when it came to clothing and hair accessories. Girl, my daughter,
We didn't.
I don't, not at 12.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes because I got all kinds of stuff I remember.
All that stuff was plastic. Don't say I don't. Say that's what I remember.
No. Listen, at 12, crisscross was out. So was Another Bad Creation. So we was wearing our stuff.
But that wasn't accessories though. I did have all that. Okay.
We had TLC come out, and they was wearing baggy, colorful clothes, like cross-color style, with condoms on the. We didn't. That's what my mama drew the line.
I did say plastic, but I didn't mean that type of plastic. I wasn't referencing that type of plastic for its accessories.
No, I do not to ask. Not to have no condoms and stuff like that. But we had like somebody's old pager or a pager look-alike. We had, what I'm saying? We wore our clothes backwards.
We have the different.
And that's the thing about the style. True. The style these days, like my daughter has decided that baggy clothes is what she wants to wear. That was not a thing a year ago. A year ago, she would still put on her cute little shorts and things like that. So I'm not trying to, what's the word? Overemphasize appearance, but I am conscious of when you leave the house, you need to look like you belong to me, right? Like I am your parent. So that means at least iron this t-shirt. So that's a rule now. Anything you wear needs to be ironed the night before, because you're not walking out looking like this. But I also think about, because there's always parents, in the Mothers Raising Teen Daughters group, there's always parents that are like, you guys are body shaming daughters. And I am big on, being mindful of that. When my daughter, she went to the daddy-daughter dance, and people in our family flipped out about her dress not having straps. It was a strapless dress. It was very beautiful.
That was fine.
And I was going,
yes,
she's going with her daddy. Like, that's her security, right? Like, she got her own personal security guard. Right. So, and I remember my best friend, because I was like, am I tripping? And she was like, no, sometimes we got to fix the boys and not the girls, right? And I do recognize that. That being said, your shorts can't be too short. I don't care how you feel about your body, because it's not just about how you feel about yourself. I also have to mitigate the damages of these grown men that I catch looking at my daughter. I'm trying to get out of this parenting phase felony free. Okay. But these grown men that I catch looking at my daughter, and she is definitely her mama's child, right? Like there's a brick house status going on. but she's
Mm-hmm,
my
mm-hmm.
kid and she's only 10. So I
Right,
do have to teach
right,
her it's not just about being free. I know everyone is not looking to violate you, but everyone is not it's not going to refrain from it either. So mitigating that damage before it
right.
even
Yeah,
happens is a big deal as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then also that kind of you're saying falls under what's appropriate and
And
what's
what's
not
not
appropriate.
appropriate. Yes.
And that really should be based on your child's frame, and when I say frame, they're built. Um,
There are clothes,
and that
right?
could be
Because
a whole
certain
other
clothes fit
conversation.
differently
But
on other people. Absolutely.
yes,
A
yes.
tank
So
top
what
on
I
a double D is different than a tank top on a B cup. It is, especially when when they're not
correct
adults
it,
yet.
correct. Because it's still gonna be
Hmm.
a t-shirt on me, it ain't gonna be a tank top. So it's gonna be a t-shirt. So it ain't showing nothing. So and I can write it, wear it flawlessly. But
We
just
about to get a
keeping that in
letter.
mind. Well, but in general, in regards to your daughter's
Hmm.
dress style, you know, if they're not fitting into what you have pictured in their mind of how you wanted them to dress, how you wanted them to look,
Right.
don't shame that. If
Absolutely.
anything, help them build and develop what it is that they do like. Neither of you
Right.
guys may not necessarily know to a T. However, there still can be guidance. That also can be an opportunity for you guys to bond.
Yes.
So don't down talk that in regards to what they're doing or what you got on or what's that. We can make all kind of faces, okay, and our tones can do a whole lot. Be
Yes.
mindful of that.
Absolutely. So before we get a letter, let's move on to the next one because somebody is right now listening and they done
I say,
pulled
and that's
over
okay. We
to
can
write
talk
us a
about
letter.
it. It is okay.
So I think another thing that we
All
have
right.
to stop doing is invalidating our kids' feelings, right? Like our daughters are full of emotions and hormones, right? And
A
so
lot.
when we dismiss or
Both.
belittle those things instead of listening to empathize and listening to,
Mm-hmm.
help them through, I think that's a big deal. Invalidating feelings because as women, we grow up invalidating our own feelings because we got stuff to do and there's no time. And if as soon as you're emotional, people want to say that you're overly emotional. And because people don't know how to deal with your vulnerability, they say things like, be strong. And you're like, be
Right.
strong. My daddy died. Like, why do I have to be strong about
Right.
that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're
Yeah.
always sending the wrong message to
Mm-hmm.
teenage girls when we're saying, stop being overly emotional when they're only being emotional, right? They're only sharing their feelings. We got to stop
Right.
and listen.
And with that, and I'm gonna give some examples of what that looks like.
Okay.
But with that, and I'm gonna jump to something else. But with that, you being uncomfortable with your child's emotions doesn't gives you an excuse to invalidate their feelings.
Yes.
So, and the reason why I say that is because in general, I'm a therapist, but I am not a big feelings person in general, my
Hmm.
own feelings. I know how to
Hmm.
navigate, I know what to do with and do. My daughter's still trying to figure it out as she should. However,
Right.
it'd be a lot. It'd be a lot. This past week was a lot. I needed all the Advil. And actually, I don't even take Advil. I take prescription medication. Just it'd be a lot. So with that, in that helping her navigate those feelings, there were times where I said, honey, mommy is going to sit here with you and hold you. It was a
Yes.
couple of reasons. We were on day 3 of the week. We had 2 more days to go, and mama had no more. Okay. The other reason is because there's that part of her experiencing that it's okay to feel those feelings, even though they don't
Hmm.
feel good, but it's a part of the 360. You can't, as a human, we can't only feel good feelings. That'd be nice, but in a realistic world, that is not how it works. So she
Absolutely
needed
not.
to physically feel those feelings, but
Yes.
also feel them in a space that was safe for her. And when she got it all out, because girl, It sounded like you a cut scene that you would have thought it was a whole scene of some girl. So are you okay now? And I was praying to Jesus that she said I am, because I had nothing left. Okay. And she
Right.
said that she was. And I said, thank you, Lord, in my head. And I said, okay, mommy's gonna go into this room. And I had to close the door. But but with that, we do need to give our daughters space to say whatever, obviously respectfully, not
Right.
being, inappropriate words, but to say it. And so some of the examples that I was going to give is, you'll be okay, or that wasn't that bad, or stop doing all that crying. That's what my grandmother used to say. My great, stop doing that, as if it was something that, as if crying was something wrong or not to do. So I want you guys to think out. I want you guys to think of what you say in the moment and work on not saying that again.
Right. And because sometimes you say it without thinking about it. And then later you're like, man, that probably wasn't the best response. Go back and correct it. Get into the habit of going back and correcting yourself with your kids. I know that people feel like I'm the parent. I didn't do it. Like I'm grown. I don't have to. But go get in the habit, because adults who don't take accountability for their actions create children who don't take accountability for their actions. And we got enough people in this world that don't take accountability. So let's fix
Yes.
that. Let's fix that whenever possible. All right, what's your next one?
Setting unrealistic expectations.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, let's go.
So with that, let's see here. I need to get my lighting together. So I'm trying to turn on my thing. Hold on.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep going, because I know that
Okay.
so we have big expectations on academics. So my daughter is 100% like always like, Mom, if I don't get this A, am I in trouble? And my thing was, well, why wouldn't you get the A? Don't tell me that you were studying or that you did your best if you spent, hours watching TV, or if you spent hours on your phone. That meant that you had time to get some extra studying in, or whatever the case may be, to work on this assignment. And so what I had to realize was, if she's doing her best, an A or a D, she gave it her all. And
Mm-hmm.
so normalizing the fact that sometimes you can give your all and still fall short is a real thing.
Right.
That's a real thing. Sometimes you can work hard. Like, I have friends who are doctors who were like, listen, I'm gonna tell you, even people who passed the bar, well, who failed the bar a couple of times before they
Right.
passed it, and they like,
Right.
I gave it my all. And what
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want was for my daughter to feel like a failure just because
Right.
she didn't get the A. Right.
Right.
Because as my cousin always points out, C's get degrees. Right. So
I like that.
I don't want her to
I
feel
like
like she has to, 100% be like, let me do it, let me do it, let me do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So what's the next one?
All right. So setting unrealistic expectations in regards to academics. Um, I would say every parent can relate to this one. Obviously, we want all our kids to make straight A's. And realistically, our kids are not necessarily all straight A students. Not rude, but just realistic. Depending on the subject, depending on the teacher. And what
I
I've
love how
noticed,
you was trying not to say everybody kid ain't smart.
but I don't know if you've noticed, and no discounting to teachers whatsoever. So don't even come
Right.
for me for that. But the teaching is different. That's what I'll say. The teaching is different. Granted, there's
Mhm.
different climate. There's so much going on. I would not want to be a teacher. Even before this, I'm not the teacher type. But but
It's not easy, that's for sure.
it's different. So I feel that more times than not, the kids are teaching themselves to some capacity.
Right.
Versus how we were taught, where we basically were taught. We taught and we got the understanding and all that. So, but with that, there's that part of asking yourself, has my child been doing the work? Does my child not understand? Is there tutoring? Have I checked in with the teacher as a parent? Has my child, because if your child is an adolescent or teenager, they actually should be communicating with the teacher themselves first.
Right.
That
I need
should
help.
be happening first.
I don't understand this. The problem
Right.
is that, we have some teachers who are like, what you mean you don't understand? You know what I mean? They make the kids feel so bad about it that it creates a situation.
And that kind of goes into, I said that the teaching is different. That's kind of what I mean as well. I've seen, my mom's a tutor, so I've seen a lot of teachers don't teach for whatever reason. And like I said, I'm not discounting teachers in any way, but the teaching is different. And so that level of understanding that students typically, or a good percentage of students typically is able to grasp, it's not happening. It's flying over their head. It's over. I don't know where it is, but it ain't in their head. Right. So as a parent, if you're just fussing at your child regarding their grades, but not assisting them on making efforts on how they can improve their grades, like, stop it. That's what I'm doing. There's something hitting your hand. Stop it. Like, don't do that. Because I work with some parents that have done that, and I'm like, how your child really has done all that they could do in their capacity as being a student. Where did you step in? It is not your child's responsibility then to do X, Y, and Z after they've done A, B, and C. It's for you to step in as a parent and take on that role and do that. So, I would say academics, it can be a touchy subject or a big subject overall, especially with I would say the shift in the academic curriculum.
So we have to stop setting those unrealistic expectations in it.
Yes. I don't know what it is. They're going far left with this academics, but either way it goes, our kids still need to graduate. So there that is. So
all right. So I'm gonna give another one that we have to stop doing. We have to stop avoiding discussions on sex and consent.
Yes.
I know. So first of all, we're still explaining consent to adults. So I know we have to keep talking to our children about it, right?
I mean, that should be one of those ongoing conversations. It's not a one conversation. It's an ongoing conversation.
Now, even when I was in middle school and junior high, high school, although that gamut from 6th grade to 12th, I think that so often that's when kids start learning words like hoe and they start saying those things.
Took me back with something Janelle said, and I said, "What?" I ain't gonna tell you what she said, but I was. Where did you hear that from? Because I don't use that type of language. I mean, it wasn't profanity,
but the kids do, and that's the hard thing. And so, like explaining to my daughter, listen, if this girl has kissed this boy, that doesn't mean that she's kissed all the boys, right? That's number one, because you weren't even there. But two, if she kissed 17 out of the 20 boys in her class, if there's a line of boys waiting to kiss her, she gets to pick who's in the line. Nobody gets to jump in the line and say, well, she kissed all the other boys, how come she can't kiss me? Right. Explaining consent on a level so minute is so important. We have to have conversations about sex. What is sex? Is kissing sex? Is holding hands sexual? Like all of these things, there's so many things.
Right.
And we try to go.
I want to say, and with being in a relationship, it doesn't entitle a person to anything.
Right. Anything. And listen, these dating streets are trash, okay? These dating streets are trash. And you will have men say,
I'm glad that...
Listen, and stay in the marriage, okay?
Man, We ain't going nowhere.
I can
We
say that
good
to
over
her
here.
because I know her husband.
Peace.
He's a great guy. That like, yeah, if he was throwing a brick to her forehead, I promise y'all I would never tell her to stay. Okay. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. But aside from that, like as a single woman, having to well, I don't explain consent to men. I don't. When I hear words that let me know you feel like I don't consent, that I don't have to consent. Like when a man says, and this is something that has been said,
Okay.
well, I'll just come and spend the night at your house. You don't even know what
Did he
city I
invite
live
him?
in, sir. Huh?
But did he invite? Was that? I'm saying I'm confused. Was that asking, or was that
We
an
were we were
invitation of
going
sorts?
out, and I don't really drive at night. So, or I don't drive
Right.
at night. So he was like, well,
Hmm.
we can go such and such. I can come out that way, and then I'll just spend the night at your house. No, no. First of all, the restaurant I picked ain't even in my 20-mile radius. You can't just come spend the night. That doesn't work, right? So
Right.
things like that, like when we as adult women have to still explain consent and what that looks like and how that's supposed to be approached. We have to teach it to our
Mhm.
girls. When I was growing up, there was
Yes,
always some boy hitting us on the butt or something like that, even
I
snapping our
remember
bras.
that.
And people go, oh my
I
God, that's just what
remember
kids
that.
do. But it shouldn't
No,
be.
it's not.
If your son
It's
is
exactly.
snapping bras or patting somebody on the behind, I'm gonna blame you as the
Well,
parent.
let's have it transition to this day and age. If texting memes, or post, or cartoon, you get what I'm saying. Any of
Hmm.
that I would say that's a parallel to back in the day.
Right,
You know
right. Because
that
it's
still is not
the newness.
okay. That it's kind of
Exactly.
like that transition to the next, if you will. Not saying that your child's going to be a pedophile or any of that, but more so in regards to that being having that respect factor in regards to the opposite gender or in regards to females. So that is something if you've been told this about your child, if you've, I know as a parent, if you're walking by the phone or look at the phone, your child look at their phone, see what if you're seeing things, address it and have a
Right.
conversation accordingly,
Yes.
especially if you're dealing with
Without
boys.
cussing them out or fussing or
Right,
swinging on them, because
right.
sexuality, that curiosity is absolutely normal. Like, can we just
Thank
say
you for
that?
saying it
Like,
again for the
the
people in the back. Say it
it's
again for the people in
absolutely
the back
normal to have
because it's
curiosity.
normal.
Let me tell you guys something.
Yes.
Biologically, young girls have clitorius stimulation, like they can feel the
Yeah.
nerve endings, right?
Right.
It's nothing sexual, but they can feel the nerve endings as early as 4 or 5 years old.
It's
That's not
earlier
them
than
being
that.
sexual people.
Yeah, it's earlier than that. They don't know what it is, but it's way earlier than that. I mean, they get
Okay,
their diaper changed.
so then in that
Not,
case, what are we like? Why would we tell our girls that no, 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 you're supposed to, like, we have to have conversation, and appropriate conversation for the age, appropriate
yes.
conversation for
Yes.
what they are experiencing, but more so
Right.
listening and asking questions.
Right.
Okay, so what does that what does that make you think about? Or, how do you feel
Mhm.
about this? And those are the
Right.
types of things. Okay. I
Right.
I know
And maybe
somebody
I'll
writing
say,
this.
I will say no, but because that can be another topic. Like if you have questions, if you have statements, if you have, please send it in because I feel that in
Yes.
itself,
Right.
is a show. So we're gonna move on to the next. So make sure we're hitting all the topics. But over scheduling, and I'm saying that because I'm a doer. I'm
Yes.
guilty. I'm a doer. Even when it crashed, the plane crashed and kaboom, and I'm like, but it's okay. No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
We
So with
have
the
got
over,
to stop overscheduling them.
yes, with the overscheduling, and this like hindsight. It's hindsight. It deliberately shows that you always have to be doing something all the time,
Yeah.
despite being tired and feeling okay now, and even though this may not have been said, but the fact, okay, I've done so much now I can rest. No, you rest because we need rest and we're humans. So if and I know, speaking to this, I know if you have more than one child, it makes it a bit more challenging and difficult, because you want each child to have their own thing, and things that they do. However, there needs to be a space that's consistent to where nothing's done.
Right.
Or a break period. So I know for me, like when my daughter was younger, and I need to start doing it again, I would block out 2 days within our 4 weekends that we get where I am not committing myself or my children to anything. Granted, if we choose to do something on our own within that day, cool. However,
right.
there's
But committing
that we are dedicating ourselves to. And like this weekend, I realized, like, what was I doing before? Because we were still very active. My daughter was still in, whatever she was in. My older kids, now grown, they were in their stuff, but it was still pretty balanced. And I'm like, oh, I gave up those days, and I was the one who enforced that. You are the gatekeeper for your child's routine, their limits, their activities, their involvement. You are the gatekeeper of that. And on top of that, you need rest too.
Exactly. And let me tell you, so last year for my friend's birthday, shout out to my girl Latoya, we went to Cabo, and it's her birthday. But you know what she did? Because she knows me, she gave me 2 hours every day of unscheduled time so that I could go be alone. Now, if she had filled those days with stuff, I would have been down. But the fact that she thought about me, and the fact that, leading up to going on vacation, I was like, I'm tired. I got so much to do. I've been busy like for the last month, right? And she was just like, okay, all right. And she took all of that into consideration when booking her birthday trip to make sure that I had time. And every day I was just like, thank you. Because it would come in the middle of the day, and I could go, and then we'd be like, okay, we'll meet up at the pool for dinner. We'll meet up at, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like that type of thing. But I got time for myself. And then in the evening, when I was ready to go to bed, she didn't have no problem with it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, I'm going to my room, you going to your room.
Right.
That, like, as adults, we need to stop overscheduling. But can you imagine the mindset of a kid that is constantly on the go? They don't have time to think.
It's all over the place.
Have conversations with themselves and get to know themselves, like, because all they know is the activity that they're in. So that becomes their identity. I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete. I'm a this, I'm a that. Well, no, first you're a person. And what kind of person do you want to be? What type of stuff do you enjoy? I enjoy this sport. I'm an athlete. And it has to be more to it than that.
Right. I truly agree.
All right. Agree. I think I'm gonna do one more.
Okay.
Pushing their boundaries.
Yes, with the boundaries. Yeah.
Pushing their boundaries. I think that it's really important that we understand our children's comfort zone and don't force them into situations that they're uncomfortable with. Let me give you an example. When Kayla was little, a lady at our church was like, I want to hug her. And she just grabbed Kayla and gave her a hug. And Kayla hugged her back. And when we were walking away, she said, Mommy, she is so pretty, but I don't like her spirit. And I said, okay. I said, how do you want me to handle it? Right. And she was just like, I don't want to have to hug her anymore. And I said, okay, new rule. You don't ever have to hug anybody. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's your dad, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts. You don't have to hug anybody. You have to speak to everybody, but you don't have to hug anybody. And so she said, well, what do I do when they want to hug, but I don't want to hug them? I said, you say, no, thank you to the hug, but I'll give you a high five.
Right. There you
go. That's it. You don't have to explain anything else. And there was a lady, and I remember this was probably 2 years into that. This lady was like, can I give you a hug? She said, no, but I'll give you a high five. And the lady was like, oh, she said, you know what? I respect that. And even this past weekend, I asked the young girl because I hugged her mom and I said, "Is it okay if I hug you?" I said, "If not, I could just give you
For
a high
permission.
five because I
Yeah.
respect boundaries. I respect body
Yeah.
boundaries." And
Yes.
and the mom was like, "That was so sweet of you to say that." And I was like, "Listen, I've had a kid her age. I don't want
Right.
anybody to feel like they have to hug me, that I have to hug them. No,
Right.
if we don't teach our kids to have
Yes.
boundaries, and guess what? That has escalated in life for my daughter to I don't not only do I not want to hug you, but mommy, I don't want to go over there.
Yes.
Mommy,
Yes.
I know that you're friends with her mom and I like her, she's cool, but I'm
Right.
I'm just not her friend. Like we're cool, but we're not
Right.
friends.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
right. You don't have to be
Right.
friends with her just because I'm friends with her mom.
Right, exactly. And basically what you so good job, first of all.
Thank you.
But second of all, you set the tone and the platform. You taught her how to set boundaries for herself. You guided her on
Yes.
what to say of what's okay and what's not okay. And then with that, like you said, it has transitioned to where she can assert herself. There's so,
Yes.
so many parents, there's so many adults who don't know how to do that because it wasn't modeled or demonstrated for them and they weren't even advocated for in whatever situation they needed to be at that time. But the fact that you did that for her, awesome. Like with Janelle, she's like,
Thank
I don't
you.
feel comfortable. And I said, you can always excuse yourself, honey. You know, in given the situation, and explain to her what are her options. What is your
Right.
daughter's option? There's always options. And if you're not sure, guess what? Google it because you know, and I mean, I'm keep saying that, and it sounds silly and it sounds funny, but I'm very, very serious because you can type in appropriate social interactions or physical interactions with a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. You can go down the whole doggone line. You're gonna find something that
Yes.
fits for your child. So there's never an excuse as to why I didn't know. Nope, because you could have googled it. So good job on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You have one more in you?
So the missing their interest. Sure.
Ooh,
Sure. So
okay.
the dismissing out, and I'm losing the light is not my friend today. But the
It's all right.
I'm over here leaning to the left, leaning to the right. Um, but the dismissing the interest. So let's see here. And I always like to speak to, not always, but I would like to speak to my daughter and what she's interested in. So I
Mhm.
played sports. I ran track. I played basketball. I ran cross country. I danced. My husband played basketball. We've done all the sports. I
Mhm.
had to accept that she's not athletic in the way that I'm athletic. She's not athletic in the way that her dad is athletic.
Right.
And accepting that her thing may not even be sports. She's more
There.
artsy. She
Mm.
likes drawing and painting, and that drives me up the wall. But because the clean girl, don't even get me started. But that is her thing, and she's very creative. She's kind of gotten to a little bit of sports, but the creative aspect is really her thing. So
Mhm.
as a parent, by default, I would say that we go in wanting our child to do certain things because we want them to do it. But we had to take heed to what is our child either telling us, because sometimes they may be telling us, I really don't like that. But what are they showing us? And going off of what they're interested in. You know, it's not, it's their life is not your life.
Right. Absolutely. But I will say this because you do an amazing job
Oh,
of
thank you.
cultivating her creative side. Because the way you had my house last Christmas with
I try.
with y'all, there was there were cups and cocoa bombs and there
We
was
had
a hat
everything.
that with a bunch of little balls and we had to catch balls in our hat. It was a
Yeah,
whole
the fake
situation.
snowballs.
Yes. And then I don't remember what we built, but we built something
Yeah, we did a
and
lot of
so there
stuff.
I love that you even though it's not what you like, you still
Not my
do it.
forte, but I try.
I'm on the opposite side. Like I'm not athletic and my daughter is very athletic, but she's also very creative. I will color, I don't want to do all that other stuff, right? Like I love to color. That's my thing. But like my daughter is, I'm not the person that's gonna play with Legos, right? Like I'll stack them, but I got like
Yeah.
three different stacks, right? But if I gotta actually make something, you can forget it. So so I'm not creative in that sense, and I'm not athletic in that sense. And when I'm out for a walk, my daughter is texting me because, especially if she know I didn't want to go, she's texting me with emojis like "You go, girl," or "Get it, mom," and I'm just like, dang, like, all right, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think of that unless I am consciously going, how can I support her? And my daughter, it is built in. It is just who she is. She is like, let's go. I know you don't want to do it, but I'm gonna support you
Right.
anyway, and I got you. And so I
Right.
think that as parents, when in an effort to not be dismissive, sometimes we overkill, right? And our kids are like, I want you involved, not that involved, right? And so
Right.
having
Right.
that balance is really important too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
all I had to
good.
share on that one.
We doing one for boys. I don't have any sons, but you have a son, and I do coach boys. So we, when doing family coaching, it covers boys too. Let's do boys as well. You good with that?
Yes, but we need to pause for a second so I can get
Because
some
you
of
can fix this light. I get it.
my natural then left. So she
Okay.
calling it light.
All right. I'm Coach Kiana Shaw. This is my partner in crime.
I'm about to say your name, Therapist Danielle. I'm about to say Coach Kiana Shaw. Girl,
And
Therapist
you are
Danielle.
listening to us on KCCR Cityscape Radio, connecting community through sound. You guys have an amazing week. We'll see you next time on the